Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Eye Opener Society. You have your hosts, Gary.
Me, Hannah. Hey.
How's everybody doing? Thank you. Welcome back again to the show. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, listening. You know, we always try to show some sort of appreciation for our audience
Mhm.
because,
We love y'all.
yeah, we absolutely love you all. Just sitting and hitting play for our show is the biggest thrill for us because, again, we could hit you, up for donations and Patreons and all that other fun stuff. But just the fact that you listen is good enough, and we appreciate that a lot. If you like our show, definitely spread the word,
Yeah.
share it, follow us on Facebook, Eye Opener Society on Facebook. Follow us there, get the word out, let everybody know what you're listening to.
Yeah. So we're in June, man.
Yeah,
June of
God.
2024.
Yeah, we go on like these monthly schedules for our shows. And we're so far behind. We're really doing this recording very last minute. But yeah, we are in June already. And this whole year has gone by. Remember the beginning of the year
We're
doing
halfway through the year.
yeah, it's almost gone.
I'm like, oh, we're going to be celebrating New Year's all over again. I'm going to have to wake his ass up on the couch for the ball drop again.
Probably gonna have to. But yeah, it's like I don't even want to think about it, but I know it's going to come up really quicker than we know. This year just blows on by. So you can't stop it. We got so much we've been doing and trying to get all these shows and trying to do our behind the eyes. And if you're following us on Facebook, you get to see us actually do behind the eyes live, which I hope some more people tune in. If you're listening to this, again, just follow us on Facebook. And then look, I always post all month long when the date is for the very next behind the eyes episode. So please follow us because we'd like to try and get some viewership on there.
Yeah, an interaction.
Yeah, the interaction is what, we're really looking for. So either way, let's get this show kicked off. This is called Scattered Memories, and this is going to touch on a few things, I think. There's been something that sits on my mind all the time, and it comes up randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, if let's just say, however old you are, however many years you've been on this planet, I've been here 53 years, something like that. I don't know, 52, 53. I don't know. You don't even know how many years you've been here.
I
Like
don't even know
somewhere,
how old
somewhere
I
around
am.
the
I ask my
20
mom all the
years.
time.
Yeah. But if you think back and like everybody has memories of
Mm-hmm.
some sort, and I'm not just talking about the big ones like, marriages and childbirth. That's a given because so much goes into it that you do recall the, stuff like that. But I'm talking about these very weird, odd memories that stick in your mind for no particular reason. And I sit and think about it, and I'm talking going way back to childhood. So after 53 years, I don't know, maybe I was 4 or 5, maybe. I'm it's very hard to say, but I'll remember every now and then some very particular memories.
Mm-hmm.
Just so random. They mean nothing that at least I haven't figured that out yet. They mean nothing. And they're so vivid, right down to what I was feeling, the weather, and everything. Just for example, this is the one that always, for some reason, pops up in my mind. I was living, God, it was back in the Bronx, but I just remember, and it's such a brief memory too. It's maybe like only maybe a short chunk, like a minute of my life that I remember.
Oh, gosh.
That I'm sitting on the couch with my mother, watching a soap opera. I don't know, I don't recall what the soap opera was, but I do remember vividly what was on there. It was like a plane crash, and they were trying to get the people out of the plane. Of course, with all the drama going on in there. But I remember that, and I remember the fan being on. I remember the weather. It was a summer day. It was very sunny, and that's all I remember. But it is such a clear and distinct memory that I can remember verbatim everything from so long ago. It's insignificant. There's nothing else about it, but it remains just there. And every now and then it pops up, which is very, very odd. So I don't know who else has memories like that. I'm sure we all do, just some random vague thing. But if I can, I just want to incorporate into that like signs and symbols. If you're deep into meditation and all that and the metaphysical, there's got to be a reason for it.
Maybe you need to like go watch a soap opera with your mom or something.
And I don't know. You see, but then again, there was a plane crash on, as on the
Yeah.
soap opera. So I don't know if there was something significant about
Like,
that.
don't get on a plane,
Like, don't get a
motherfucker.
plane. I've been on planes since. I never had any issue with planes, but it's just a random weird memory
Yeah.
that means nothing.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those?
I probably do, but I like fresh in my mind right now that reminds me of my husband. My husband and his brother are about oh God, 13 or 14 months apart or something like that. And Justin always talks about that he has just like this random, crisp, clear as day memory where him and his brother were sitting out on their back porch. Like they lived in like an apartment at the time. So it was just a tiny little back porch. And he said, like, Justin, like he was sitting in the ball pit and Alex, his brother, was just sitting on the balcony. He was playing with something. I don't remember. Like, Justin would tell it better than me, but he said he distinctively remembers he was in the ball pit. He looked at Alex. He like looked down. He picked up a purple ball and just chucked it at him. He's like, and that's like something that he like remembers to this day. He's like, I don't know why I remember it so well, but like I remember it. With me, oh gosh, there a distinctive memory that for some reason it comes in my head more times for whatever reason. I remember, oh God, I probably was 6, 7 years old. Um, my grandmother's brother, so my great uncle, lived around the corner from my grandparents, and I um they lived like at like one of those like man-made lake things.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about,
Hmm.
off Mount Airy or
Hmm.
whatever. And they had a paddle boat. It was a yellow paddle boat. And I'm sitting there on like just sitting there like on the paddle boat, and it was docked or whatever. They had like a little tiny dock. And I remember like bits and pieces of like what was going on. I just remember like distinctively I saw a snapping turtle in the water that had like like it's like I could draw it. It's like a weird design on its like, what is it? Oh my God, shell.
So,
And then um see, like there's a little chunk missing of it, but like the design that was on the shell is just something that's like in my head clear as day. And then also I remember I caught a fish. Like that was the first time I ever caught a fish. And it's just like such a random memory where it's like there's nothing that like benefits me of this memory. It's just one that just awkwardly just comes into my head so often for no damn reason. I'm like, I need to draw out that symbol that was on that shell and get a tattoo of it or something like that, because it's just a random,
random.
pointless little
Yeah.
memory. The only beneficial thing like of that memory is that that's like the first time I caught a fish when I was a kid, but like the turtle is what I remember the most, the snapping turtle.
Well, there you go. See, again, we're talking when you're trying to put together signs and symbols, you had two things. One, an animal. Usually animals represent something. And then there's a design on there. So you have symbols, included in with that. That's why I think sometimes these memories, there's something that's probably missing from my little chunk of memory because I don't really recall anything as far as a sign or a symbol.
Yeah.
It's just such a very random thing that it's just the most vivid memory. And I have a few of them. I could probably go into the brain archive and probably have like 5 or 6, little memories that just seem so rather insignificant, but they just remain. It's like I can't remember what I ate yesterday. I can't remember what I ate probably 3 hours ago. But these here memories just are stuck there. They're
Yeah.
very, very random. But if you do look into it with the signs, symbols, and they represent something to everybody individually. I know there's so many books and you could Google, what does a turtle mean? What
Mhm.
does this symbol mean? But those books, while very helpful, you really got to put together every single thing that was going on in the moment because you have to try and decipher those things and what they really mean. So, like for me, on that same account, this is where it gets scary. I remember all the time see, growing up in the Bronx, there was this place called Pelham Bay Park.
Hmm.
People don't realize, but the Bronx has the most greenery
Yeah,
of every.
I've
That
heard
borough
that.
has,
I've
yeah,
heard that.
it does. It's got a lot of parks and a lot of acreage. And Pelham Bay Park is one of the largest. I forget how many acres it covers, but it's very large. There's a lot of significant history in that place too. But as a kid, I remember going with my mom and dad with we used to go, it was called Rice Stadium. It was an old football stadium from like 1922. And it was just an abandoned ruin that's been in that park since.
Mm.
I know they since, from what I read up a little bit on, and they tore it down, I think in mid 2000s or so. It was, I remember when I was going there, it was so badly dilapidated. Like they had these stairs that used to go all the way up to this huge statue. And but those stairs were all concrete and there was just major holes. I'm surprised nobody died in those things,
Someone probably did.
Probably, who knows? But now because everybody's so, cautious about that, they tore it all down, but it was a ruin, but it was really significant part of the Bronx's history with that. But I remember going there. And here's the weird thing now. I just remember climbing those stairs. And I also remember, if I'm not, oh, I'm almost guaranteeing you it was the same place, but there was like, I remember it was like either a fountain or it was just this design on a stone. It was almost like a face. And I don't understand why that always pops up in my
Mm.
memory. And I know there's a photograph. Oh man, I mean, I could check my photograph archives. I know there's a photograph somewhere of me as a kid standing in front of this thing. But here's the weird part. Going back, I was probably in my 30s. And for like maybe 2 years straight, I was having like these nightmares, absolute nightmares that all revolved around that place, that race day. And that's what was really weird. It's like so many years later, but this was the thing, it was reoccurring. It was so specific and it reoccurred so often that in my dream, as me, I knew what was coming next. One of
Yeah.
those. It was just, and you're in a dream, but you can't wake up. You know what's coming next. And I don't recall much of it. And it's weird. It's only when I had it would I really recall it again. But I remember it all took place right there in that Rice Stadium area.
That's wild.
And but the only thing different was there was some sort of house that I kept going into, like entering, and it was so like the darkest black of everything inside the windows. And to me, if I put it all together as far as a sign or anything, it almost feels like that place is some sort of a portal.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to describe it as far as that reoccurring nightmare. And the way it played out from what I haven't had it like since my 30s, so it was quite a while. I don't recall very much of it, but I do remember the dark blackness inside that house and just exactly what happened when
And
I
you
entered
going
it.
into it?
Yeah, me
That's
going
like the
into it.
most whitest person thing ever to do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but definitely there's definitely some sort of more of a significance to that. But yeah, I definitely believe it was some sort of portal or something for me to recall a memory like that
Yeah.
and then have my subconscious develop it into some sort of nightmare like that that's recurring so bad,
Yeah.
so vividly. So yeah, it's these random memories, do they have some sort of connection. They
Yeah.
really do. And you need to put it together somehow. And that's why I always tell everybody document everything, record everything, keep pen and paper next to your bed when you have these dreams, nightmares, no matter what it is. Write down every single specific detail that you can remember. And if you have these reoccurring random memories from childhood, write down those things too. Every single detail about them, because it could be a sign, symbol, whatever, and it could probably lead you to some understanding of your own life. I haven't figured out what mine was. I don't know what that was, but that was my stories. That and also right around the same time, it's very weird. All these here memories occur only when I was living in this one place in the Bronx in my earliest, you know. And I remember for some reason, and I don't know if they were maybe blimps at the time, because I know
Yeah.
blimps used to fly around a lot over
Yeah.
New York City a lot. But I recall specifically buses. Okay. like actual commuter buses,
Yeah.
the New York City style buses from the 70s. I remember it so the detail. I remember them flying. I remember looking up in the sky and seeing the bus because, and it was odd because I recall the detail underneath the drivetrains, the suspension. It was just the weird. I don't know if it was a blimp, that had maybe photos of the bus, maybe
Maybe.
promoting mass transit or something.
Yeah.
But to me, they were buses that were
Just,
flying.
oh my God.
It's a very weird. And again, like I could close my eyes and I could picture myself in that moment, just walking on the street, looking up and seeing a flying bus.
That's wild.
And it was kind of like a floating, I don't know. I
I feel like
don't know
this
what it
is
was,
weird.
but it's very weird. But it's something so significant and stuck in my head. And I do not recall exactly what it was, but to me, I remember it
Yeah.
clearly as, and there's just so many, it has to do probably something with that area that I grew up in. I don't know, it's just like I could recall my mother getting electrocuted in that apartment. She was vacuuming and I think it was a bad, either a faulty plug or the cord when she went to disconnect it, she got electrocuted.
Oh my
But
God.
something like that you would remember,
Yeah.
because that's kind of like a traumatic event. But these other random things, I don't know why they are there. I
Hmm.
don't know. It's very odd, but I brought this up because again, I like to spread that to everybody else to say, hey, listen, dig deep into your archives and your memories, piece together these things. I might do it myself, concentrate on it and maybe try and figure out what the significance
Yeah.
is of it. But I'm kind of at a loss for exactly why I saw a flying bus or why I can recall watching this soap opera and I only remember maybe 10 to 15 seconds of my life just right then and there. I just don't get it. So it's weird. Anything else you have? I mean,
Listen,
obviously trauma, but
I think that sucks for me. The thing that sucks for me is that I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. So trauma oppresses memory. So a lot of like the memories that I have are traumatic things that have happened to me. So unfortunately, when I try to like look back at my childhood or like my teenage years or something, I just only remember the bad stuff or like, like the significant good things. Like obviously like my older sister's graduating and, all that stuff. But like I don't I've tried hard too. I've sat there and like tried to concentrate just like random memories and even things that I feel like I should remember. I just can't. I don't know if it's just like I'm like trauma bonded with like all the stuff that's happened to me, but it sucks because it's like I wish I could just get in my archives and be like, oh yeah, I do remember that time. And the things that I do remember, it's like the most randomest of randoms. It's not like things that like I feel like, that I would have significance that I should remember. Like I remember when I was God, probably 13, maybe. I remember me and my friend, we were sitting at the rail trail and we were throwing rocks. And I accidentally threw a rock and hit her right in her freaking face or the top of her head or something like that. And I felt so bad. And still to this day, I'll think about it every time I pass like the rail trail. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Still to this day, years and years later. But it sucks because I want to remember more. I want to be able to tell my kid about like things that were so, meaningless but significant to me growing up. But I just don't really remember a lot. I remember only certain things, but I feel like at my age, I should remember a lot more and I don't.
yeah. And maybe they come to, and again, like you said, the rock incident, that too is kind of traumatic. So, because that
Yeah,
involves
exactly.
emotion.
Yeah.
But
So it's not like anything like small or like
more
I
rant or
remember like with you, like you just remember sitting on the couch with your mom, like and that's like yeah, you were with your mom and that's like a bonding type moment, but it's not really because that's your mom. You sat and watched TV with your mom
TV,
probably
yeah.
thousands of times, but it's like
Mhm.
I want to remember something like that.
Yeah. And so I don't know if everybody, like I say, if you are listening and you're thinking back, you will remember and you will recall some things, but like I said, they might have
Emotion.
emotions or trauma or whatever. But I'm just talking about the very random.
Mm-mm.
insignificance almost of it. But then there's places too that you go and you grow up, and I'm not talking just, yeah, it's nostalgia, but there are places you go that actually mean stuff
Yeah.
too. And my big one, and what I was very disappointed with was when I took your mom up to where I grew up. One of the first things I wanted to do was take her to a few of the places that I used to go to and have fun. Yeah, I'd show
Hang
her
out
where I
and
grew.
stuff.
Yeah, and one of those I recall so vividly, the Nathans in Yonkers, right over the Bronx border. The Nathan's famous hot dogs. So they had, it was a pretty big place. So they had the restaurant section
Yeah.
and they had the best hot dogs, the damn best French fries in the world. It was just a place I'd go to. And this was later on as I was growing up and we had cars and we used to go, outside New York City. But it was always just kind of a place like after we've had our fun all night long, we'd hit this place, usually on a Friday night or something, on the way back as a wind down place. But the best part of it, outside the restaurant, the second, they had a separate section. It was all pinball machines.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they had a few electronic games too, as well, but it was just, I still to this day, I love pinball. And it was just load packed with so many different machines, the bells, the sounds. They maybe had only one or two change machines, but the
Yeah.
rest was people. And they had the big belts on with the change with
Quarters.
the
Oh,
quarters that,
yeah.
used to hand the guy $10 and he pushed the buttons on his belt and whip
Hell
out
yeah.
10 bucks worth of quarters, man. It was just cool. So I remember taking your mother up there. I said, "Oh yeah, Nathan. So let's go get a hot dog, maybe play some pinball." Shut down, closed down.
Oh,
Yeah,
devastating.
it was
Oh,
because the outside was still there, the same color. I remember that Nathan's hot dog green, but the place was just closed down. And I said, that figures, man.
yeah.
But I mentioned that because I wanted to mention quick. We work, well, I listen to other podcasts, and I know we've mentioned them. There's so many of them. I don't like to go through all of them, and it's a shame because there's some very good ones. But um, Swales, the friendly green witch who has the Bell Witch podcast, she was mentioning the same thing too. In Leeds, UK, where she's from, there is this marketplace apparently that does all this free counseling,
Yeah.
counseling, especially for kids and all that. And I guess she utilized the services, when she was a kid, when her mom had passed, and it apparently helped her out. And she had one episode that I listened to, and it was just so emotional. I said, that's the same thing I get too with, these connections to these scattered memories. You just
Yeah.
obviously you're going to remember or recall something like that, but they're in such deep need of financial support, which is really shocking to me. Something like that should be there forever.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
obviously, all these things that really mean and really do something for society never stay. You ever notice
Yeah.
that, which is so sad. Um, if you want to donate, because I think they have until the end of June before they
Yeah.
run out of funding or something, and they're trying to raise, enough money to keep them going. I would love for our audience not to give us a dime, but maybe try and support them. And I'm going to put all the links in the synopsis of the show, where to donate and all that. But if you find the Bell Witch podcast, and if you go to the Marketplace That Saved My Life episode, you could really get into it. And of course, Swales definitely explains in detail what it means and all that.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional show. I'm not even doing really to push. I mean, I would push our podcast all day long, but I think this is outside of podcasting, outside of all the, follows and likes. This is important stuff because we do as kids, we had places we used to go, memories are there,
Hmm.
and they go away. And sometimes when they go away, it's more hurtful than,
Yeah.
traumatic things that happen in your life because a lot of these places had such great memories and they
Hmm.
actually helped and they did something for
Yeah.
somebody. So it's very sad to see stuff like that go away.
Just talking about that, that brings me back to when we lived in the apartments. You remember my sister did homework help.
Hmm.
I completely forgot about that
She did.
until now, just now. And I remember going in there and, sitting with Nick, my best friend that passed away, and his little sister Claire. Oh my God, she loved Casey and my sister, like, she ran that. She did so well, and it's just like that's just a small memory that I
Mhm.
just now remembered. That was kind of like in my archives, I guess. But that little place means so much, and I hope that people now, like, maybe someone continued with it, but if not, like, that's just
Mhm.
something that I feel like should be available for kids because
Right.
that helped so much.
Yeah. And again, stuff like that. It sadly it goes away. I know we have a lot of that, but this whole marketplace in Leeds,
Yeah,
it's just like I've never been in the UK. I don't know, but to have something like that
that's what I
that's
was gonna say.
there.
Yeah, because I don't know if maybe it's going away because it's like a nonprofit, and I don't know if England is suffering from inflation like we are over here in the US as well, and maybe the people who are doing it for free have
Yeah,
to
or if it was volunteer.
pick up more hours because of
Mhm.
inflation. I don't know how it is over there, unfortunately, but I mean, if that is the reasoning. I hope
Mhm.
that, our listeners don't give us a dime, check
Mhm.
out the website, donate whatever you can, even if it's a dollar makes it a long way.
It does.
A
Yeah.
dollar a person.
Hmm.
I love seeing like fundraisers for things important like that, like a dollar a person. And then you get like 5,000 people. There's $5,000 right there. And
That would be great. That
yeah,
would be great. Yeah, that's why I say I didn't. That's why I didn't go into our advertisers or anything. Just anything you have, just donate. And again, I'll put the links down in the synopsis. And at the very least, listen to the Bell Witch podcast and
yes,
listen to
that would,
that episode. It was
it's a quick little episode, but it's
Mhm.
very emotional. And she helps you get into, she really gets into like what it is, how it helped her. And it was a very emotional
Yeah,
episode. And it's a really good cause. And it's something that,
Mhm.
like, my heart, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I promised her I'd promote it as much as possible. So yeah, so these are the scattered memories that we have, and the reasons we have them sometimes we don't know, and we can spend a lifetime trying to figure it out.
Decipher them. Yeah.
Yeah, and make those deciphers and signs and symbols. It's something I'm trying to get into a little bit more and
Hmm.
understand them. And I don't like the quick answers. Like I said, I mentioned, yeah, there's books out there that say, numbers have this meaning and this animal has
Yeah.
that meaning, but a lot of times it has other meanings
Hmm.
behind it, and you really need to tune in. Those books are good because yeah, they'll give you guidance, I guess to say.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't apply all the time
Hmm.
depending on the
I agree with
individual.
that because some like what if I like open up a book and it's like, oh, you saw a turtle and that means something, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like
no,
money and wealth. And
yeah, and I'm like, where,
yeah,
where, bitch?
exactly.
So I kind of like when I said decipher, like you decipher it for yourself, decide what that means for you.
Yeah, definitely. You got to look so deeply into every single thing. And it may take a long time, but that's part of understanding ourselves.
Hmm.
We can't get that quick fix. We can't just look in a book and say, oh, this here number means that. This symbol means that. It's significant to every single person.
Yeah,
And once you have that moment, that eureka moment, say, oh, that's what it means.
yeah,
You start to open up and unravel yourself and what it is that's, within you. So yeah, look into that. And that's that again, that was the whole purpose of this, scattered memories. It's all about that science and symbolicism that we need to sometimes look at within ourselves to figure out our own lives. Wanted to give a quick shout out because maybe the end of this month or maybe beginning of next month, Empress 333 Emporium, speaking of numbers and
hmm,
the angel numbers 333, but Empress 333 Emporium. If you find them on Facebook, I'll definitely have a link for that too as well. Jennifer Jade, fantastic person, runs this beautiful shop. I'm getting into a lot of these metaphysical shops because they mean a lot to me. I like going in there and getting the feel and getting the vibes of them and finding out behind the scenes of the shop owners and how they started their
yeah,
stories. And I'm going to probably start doing that a little bit more as I tour around because I took a 2.5 hour drive to go and see uh, Jennifer Jade up there at Empress 333 Emporium. But I'm going to have her on the show so she could talk about it. And I know she's got some good insights and she talks a lot about this and spirit guides and tarot reading and all. I really want to help people in this metaphysical field because, again, there's still a lot of this witch hunt going on. And if we just understand it for what it is, face value, maybe we could see a little bit beyond it and stop being so judgmental on some
Yeah.
things, you know. So wanted to give a quick shout out to her. Also wanted to give a quick shout out to Chris Artell from Twisted Tales
Yeah.
podcast. He's always given us a lot of shout outs and all that. Twisted Tales podcast by Chris Artell. He's on Spotify and, you know, all these other platforms too as well. Also, if you can check out Killing 15 Minutes, they're another true crime podcast that's been giving us a lot of shout outs. I know we had their trailer like a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Killing 15 Minutes, another great podcast. Josh and Paulie show.
Real Men Hug.
Real Men Hug. Yeah, this is great. Rude Dude Recovery. I could go on and on. But this here, again, the main thing is Bell Witch podcast, and listen to the one episode for the it's called The Marketplace That Saved My Life. I think that's the one that you should listen to first, just to get an idea behind everything. If you like her podcast, that's great. Follow her for sure.
She's wonderful.
But give the donations and check out the links that I'm going to put down in the synopsis of the show. So I hope everybody enjoyed our little walk down these here scattered memories, and I hope everybody has their own scattered memories too as well. Try and piece them together and figure out exactly what they mean. And stay tuned as we come up with some more ideas. And all of our shows are released on Monday. Go to our website, eyeopenersociety.podbean.com, and you can find all of our episodes there. And we're on all major platforms. And something else too that's pretty cool, we are now on YouTube as far as our actual podcast.
Yeah.
We were doing the videos and we're putting them on there, and we're going to continue doing that, but we're going to continue doing that only on Rumble when I do decide to record video. But our actual podcasts now are on YouTube. So now you could go watch them, you know, as they get released on there too as well. Hope everybody has a great time.
Yeah, we'll see you on the next podcast.
We'll see you on the next podcast. Take care.
Bye.